Hello and welcome, Exiles. I want to talk about my Leaguestart plan for Dawn of the Hunt, and I have settled on doing a Chaos Dot Lich. The reason being is a lot of the Chaos Dot skills have gotten a sizable buff, and they would pair quite nicely with a Lich. The Ascendency that I think is very, very strong tank-wise, and honestly has some decent damage multipliers for spells if I want to go down that route. Example being Essence Drain. Went from 268 at level 20 to 409. This is about a 50% damage buff. Contagion similarly went from 59 at top end to 86, about a 50% damage buff, maybe a little bit. No, it's about 50% damage, maybe a little bit less than 50% damage. Decay and Hex as well, something that you can use. I think this is good early on in the campaign. Actually, I might try it out with Enfeeble. I've had a couple viewers in my stream say, hey, this is pretty decent early on, which I can kind of see it. Early on, you might have 30, 40, 50 int, which is a lot of flat damage for those early levels. So I might use this early on. This also got a buff from 60 to 100% of intelligence. So what I'm saying is, Chaos Dot skills got a nice buff. That being said, Chaos Dot skills weren't really that good to begin with. They're starting at pretty much bottom of the barrel in terms of DPS. So is a 50% damage buff going to make them good? Probably not. But at the same time, a bunch of other things got massive nerfs, and I have been doing some Leaguestart testing where I was testing Essence Drain as a League starter. And I gotta say, it is very satisfying to see the contagion spread go out, and it is quite enjoyable. So I'm just kind of coping with these damage buffs so that we can get decent DPS. There is technically a pseudo release tree on PoE2DB where it shows you the updates to the tree. From what I can tell, don't look at these yellow lines. From what I can tell, the tree is pretty much the same for Chaos Dot, except for the jewel socket locations got changed. It used to be basically there was 12 jewel sockets around the entire tree, and now there's, or 24 around the entire tree, and now there's only 12 total, and they alternate between middle socket, middle ring, middle socket, top ring, middle socket, middle ring, so on and so forth, alternating. That's the new jewel socket locations. And outside that, the other stuff that actually had tree changes was basically just where they're adding Huntress. So for Chaos Dot, it doesn't make too much of a difference, and you can pretty much just look at the path of building to get a good idea of what your tree is going to look like if you're doing a witch start. I am planning to do something like this where I just basically grab all the DPS nodes, go over here, grab DPS, go over here, grab DPS, go over here, grab DPS. I'm just bum rushing all the DPS nodes. And I thought about this a little bit, about the Lich start and what I should do. And I settled on, I think Lich actually has a decent option to go mind over matter early. The reason for this is the initial node that you click that says bypass ES, bypasses ES to go to life. It also comes with the 6% of life regen as mana per second as your base mana regen, which is generally quite a lot higher than your normal mana regen would be at the time. So if you're investing into a character that has a decent amount of life, I think even with Mind Over Matter, you're going to have a good sustain on that, and it should be a nice little buffer for when you're taking damage. That's my theory. I'll test it out in practice today, and we'll see how it goes. But that's what I'm thinking. League start as a hybrid life, Mind Over Matter setup, just using a bunch of life investment on my gear and stuff to try to force a decent mana sustain, and then start grabbing like some mana regen nodes is what I'm going to look at doing. That's my thought process. I don't know if it's actually going to work, but outside of that, the other Lich starting nodes just aren't very good. Like, they're dependent on stuff. Like, for example, the jewel socket, really good node, but if you don't have a jewel that's like even okay for your build, it's just not going to help you, right? So there's issues like that where certain gear slots would be nice if we could benefit from them, but I don't think we really can until we get better gearing, like we actually start getting ES on our character. That's when you can justify the 30% more damage node. Otherwise, if you click that node early on, you'll just sacrifice your ES, or you'll get hit once, you'll have your ES get depleted because you have no ES on your gear initially, and then all of a sudden you can't cast your skills. So I think there's some risks in terms of those early nodes. A lot of your choices aren't great. So I'm leaning towards the thing that click the button that solves mana, that also gives us some defensive ability to help us get to Cruel Lab, where we can click Eternal Youth or Eternal Life node, and then look at buying an Adziri's Disdain, and then start looking at trying to get ES onto my gear and onto my passive tree, and start becoming that real tank class I know this class can be. So anyways, that's my initial thought. I'm not going to share this POV because it's literally just, hey, grab the chaos nodes early and just throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. As for support gems early, if you're curious about those, I was looking over the support gems. The way I like to level this character from my little bit of testing I did is I like chain early on Essence Drain just because it makes it easier to consistently get a contagion off on a pack of monsters. And then on top of that, I do Swift Affliction on our Essence Drain. And then if you can get it, Considered Casting would be good on Essence Drain. Zenith would be good on Essence Drain. This is a new support gem they're adding. Eventually, Unbending would be, or not Unbending, sorry, Deranged might be a decent support if you have like 300 int, like 24% more damage. Point is, they're adding quite a few random supports that work as damage multipliers that I think can all stack on top of Essence Drain. Will hopefully help our Essence Drain get to be a bit better than the 50% damage buff that happened to it just in the patch change, but also from having better support gem options than we had before. There's also a node like Intense Agony, which I think late game might make sense if you can kill a boss in one Essence Drain. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get the damage there, but if we could, a 50% damage multiplier from this thing sounds pretty dang good. So that's just kind of some of the thoughts I have. And then for our supporting skills, Contagion would be like Magnified Effect, Arcane Tempo, Unleash, stuff like that. Just making the Contagion utility, just proccing it faster, get that Contagion spread going, I think is a good idea. Other things, I think for our spirit buff, I think we put persistence on it too. I think this will increase the wither duration, and they buffed with withering presence quite a bit. That'll be our first aura gem. Normally, I would say like SRS or something, but they nerfed SRS a ton and they buffed withering presence a ton, which is nice because I don't really want to feel like I'm playing a minion build. I want to play a chaos dot build. So withering presence got a fairly sizable buff in how fast it applies withers, and like if you look, it's 3 seconds versus 1.8 start. And then it goes all the way down to 1.42 versus 1.58. And then the duration went from 4 seconds to 6 seconds base. So it got a 50% rough duration buff along with proccing faster, and it starts out a lot better. So I think this will be a good early spirit reservation. That's my initial plans. We'll see how it goes. I'm actually kind of excited. Waking up this morning and finding out they buffed a lot of these like rather weak chaos dot skills was just really fun because I think these are some of the cooler skills in the game. And I think it could make a really fun character. This is the first time that I'm starting to get really excited about this patch because I have hope. I have hope that the character might actually be decent. Maybe I'm coping too much because Chaos Dot, the base damage is quite low to begin with, but I'm looking forward to it. I will be making daily uploads on the character. I don't have a better trading search set up for this character yet. I will probably work on it on stream today before the league launches, and then I will maybe make a command on my Twitch for that. Maybe like I'll have a POB with in the notes section. I'll put the better trading in there or something. But I just wanted to get this video out to talk about what I'm excited about league starting. I actually think it'll be maybe pretty decent. I'm looking forward to it right now, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys are excited about the patch, and maybe you'll have some fun playing a new character you haven't tried before. As always, thanks for watching, Exiles. Take care and peace out. Have a good one.